learners, welcome to the 12th lecture of my course Ecology from Cells to Gaia. Today we will talk about parasites, predators and Gaian effects. The biologist David Wilkinson in 2006 suggested that if there is life on other planets, the expectation is that predation, sensu stricta, will only occur on a minority of them. His guess was that most of them will not have progressed beyond bacterial-like organisms. Phagocytosis is restricted to animals and protists. Predation, where the predator engulfs the prey, would not have been present until the evolution of the eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are unable to take food particles directly into their cells, so they have to release enzymes into their environment to break their food down into chemicals which can enter their cells. This raises the potential problem of cheating bacteria, which rely on the extracellular enzymes of others rather than producing these potentially costly chemicals themselves. The cheat problem with extracellular enzymes may have been one of the selection pressures leading to the evolution of phagocytosis. From an ecological perspective, this produced the first true predation on Earth. Parasitism could be common to all biospheres. Parasites, in fact, reduce population sizes and potentially act in a density-dependent manner. Disease helps to regulate population size by increasing mortality at high population density, while being a very minor threat, so increasing an individual's probability of survival at low population densities. Because of this, it is very difficult for such a parasite to drive a host to extinction. Although parasites are not required for density-dependent regulation, they can certainly cause it through affecting fecundity or survival. Density-dependent processes will also be important at a planetary scale, so potentially increasing the time span of life on a planet. One can imagine a microbial species becoming very common and potentially overexploiting its environment, only to be controlled by being targeted by a parasite. Many years ago, Haldane argued that parasites played an important role in the evolution of species, and they may be similarly important in the evolution of planets with life. With the endogenous symbiosis theory, I recently suggested that not only organelles can be symbiotic with other cells, as proposed by Lynn Margulis, but entire pieces of genetic material coming from symbiotic parasites can be included in the host DNA, changing the gene expression and addressing the speciation process. Density dependence does sometimes have the potential to decrease the risk of population extinction. An obvious example is the case where increasing group size improves an individual's chance of survival, such as some group-living animals where a larger group may have greater chance of spotting predators. This process is usually referred to as the Ali effect. Many microbes live in groups forming the so-called biofilms. These microbes appear to benefit from growing in such aggregation. For example, it can increase the resistance to antibiotics. By repeatedly generating rare genotypes, sex made it harder for parasites to evolve adaptation to their host defenses. Hamilton's argument was based on the essentially frequency-dependent ideas of Haldane, who pointed out that parasites will mostly target common genotypes. I suggest that as two parallel evolutionary lines, sexual reproduction seems to preserve what the endogenous symbiosis moves to diversify. Following the former process, the species can adapt slowly and indefinitely to the external factors, adjusting themselves but not creating novelty. The latter process, instead, leads to the speciation due to sudden changes in the gene sequences. If Hamilton and me are at least partially correct, then it raises the possibility that we would expect to see some form of sex on most planets with life. Both multiple guilds, predators, herbivores, decomposers, and the presence of parasites are likely to have positive Gaian effect in most biospheres. So at the end of this lesson, I have a question for you. What is the effect of biodiversity on a Gaian planet? Try to formulate an answer and we will analyze this process in the next lesson. See you next time!